Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Over coming to you with some more Company of Heroes 2 action. This is a 1v1 between a couple of old friends up here in the north on Crossing in the Woods, playing the USF. It is the forces of CadzZ. I'm not sure how to give you a capital Z, but that's not the point here. He is going to be bringing to the fray infantry company, armor company, and naturally heavy cav company because everybody and their mother loves a Pershing. Now, his opponent down here in the south is a guy we haven't seen that much of recently. It might just be because he half-sucks mangoes in his spare time. It's Kpen97, half-sucked mango. He'll always be just that, the Kpen97 to me, but hey, nevertheless, we could see some really, really interesting stuff out there today because he is bringing to the fray Ostruppen Doctrine, Mechanized Assault, and, Lightning War Doctrine. I was going to say Jaeger War Doctrine, but it would have made absolutely no sense. This map is Crossing in the Woods, as I stated before, not Cabin in the Woods, not Little Red Riding Hood going through the woods. It's Crossing in the Woods. It's been a really long time since I've seen this map. I mean, I haven't myself been playing a lot in this map. It's just kind of like the very, very standard VPs all the 50-yard line, and really pretty easy way for both sides to get stuck in early. In case you've kind of forgotten, there's a god house right here, and on the opposite side is a far more sturdy construction, but a little bit further back right there. And it's a fun map. It really, really is. Now, our first engagements are happening between Pioneers and Riflemen. CadzZ starting off early, with Triple Riflemen, and Kpen looking to get his fuel into supply as well as taking some good cover behind this boat. I'm guessing when the rains come, it's a far more interesting tourist spot to go, but for the time being, we only got a little bit of water right here, boys. This ain't exactly the Mississippi. MG42 setting up on the flank of this rifleman, and while they might be able to decap, they are going to get thrashed. There we go. We got suppression happening. They're going to bolt back for the home base, and they are out of there. While we're still getting started on this game, I do want to say, if you haven't checked it out already, Dawn of War 3 has come out with a beta. And while sci-fi may not be your thing, you could kind of see how the code developers are trying to make what basically amounts to 40k StarCraft. It's actually kind of fun, I won't lie. I played a couple of games already. There's one for Space Marines, one for Orcs. You don't know what I'm talking about. I'd be happy to learn you about the more precise points of 40k-ness. Rifleman take a little bit of a loss here, despite the fact you would think they would be able to have great shots into that house. But no, it's going to be an MG42 putting fire down on the rifleman, and they're going to try to jump in and jump out to take advantage of that kind of position as much as possible. But realize that's probably a bad idea, even if the brethren slide over to the middle part of the field and will be taking some fire from these grenadiers. Problem with that despite the fact that there's awesome tank traps here and there, at either end, it's like playing paintball. There's a Doritos on the backfield that are really, really great, but this position right here is pretty lousy unless you're engaging here or across to here. Yes, I just quoted paintball. For anybody out there who still actually does that, let me know. I'm surprised it's not happening more often. CadzZ, in the meantime, going full meta. He's got a mortar coming on in, and Kpen has not teched up just yet to his first battle phase. And indeed, Wehr echelons are coming in and behind his position, and he doesn't have troops back here. A lot of them are just engaged up on the front lines. Two squads of grenadiers trying to chase out these riflemen from this rather powerful position. Of course, you wouldn't know that considering the kind of damage they've taken so far. And in the west, submachine guns and automatic weapons fire really, really doing a number on those riflemen inside the house. But the more getting into action does do some damage, and it seems that the grenadiers, although they're knifing in to decap and de-resourcify the Americans, it still doesn't mean everything's coming up hunky-dory. One machine gun right here gets forced back as the Pioneers bring up a flamethrower. With that Flammenwerfer 35, they should be able to really, really do some damage to the rifleman here. He's got to run. He's going to run right now. Oh, never mind. He goes down. So after spending the munitions, that's Kpen losing a squad. First blood to the Americans. And with the Americans getting the only Pioneer squad, Kpen's going to have to invest a little bit more into his teching up abilities here. To the west, in the meantime, where'd that machine gun come from? Machine fire. Ah, okay, so back here, he's able to suppress and chase away those offending riflemen. In the meantime, CadzZ has decided to call in a lieutenant coming onto the field with a BAR. His own troops heavily wounded, as such bringing in an ambo, and that's a good idea right there. Unfortunately for him, he still has no fuel in supply, a fact that's going to be remedied within the next 15-20 seconds. And please, oh mother of mercy, tell me he's teching up. Yes, he is. He's finally teching up. Kpen is going for battle phase 1. Rifleman in the meantime, excuse me, actually Lieutenant in the meantime, getting smoked out by this mortar. And luckily for him, the guy's not firing Willie Pete shells. He's firing just like... Actually, what kind of shells are those anyway? Smoke mortar bombs. I don't know the actual classification for those, but I imagine they probably are not great for your lungs. So hello, lung cancer. It will keep the Americans in prime position for the time being, though. Kpen is up about 30 tickets, even as his lieutenant takes the middle VP. It's beginning to drain for the American side of things. And while that mortar gets into action against machine gun and grenadier in the rear, other grenadiers are shifting on forward and just barely missing some damage off on that mortar team. But it doesn't seem to matter too much. He's going to throw more and more models into this position, and until this mortar gets pushed away, these guys are going to continue to take rather heavy losses. But LMGs are starting to get procced over onto the Grenadier squad, which is a great thing for him. Even better to see for Kpen is to see his own troops moving out to the eastern side, taking this VP, pushing towards the American fuel, even as rear echelons take his own fuel in the west. At least finally we are going to see a leichte mechanized company has been called in by the Pioneer, let's say, battalion. And are we going to see a medic bunker going down anytime soon? Not quite yet. He doesn't have the manpower for it. But the second that happens, you'll know, folks, because his troops will not be beaten up anymore. But here's the problem with allowing this mortar in the middle part of the field, especially for crossing in the woods. This position is rather dominant, and is protected by mobility blockers to left and right. So a couple mines and kind of hunkering down with some defenses are really difficult obstacles to shift for any attacker. Now, oddly enough, CadzZ is going to go for, not Armor Company, no, it is Armor Company, of the M10s and the 105 Sherman bulldozers there. But he's also calling in an AA half-track. You just never see those anymore, now do you? Germans, in the meantime, taking the fuel back for their own usage. And let's take a quick look at veterancy. Americans rocking 3 stars. Germans just a bare 2. Losing that early Pioneer squad is going to make them a little bit cautious, I think, to try to bring back in another Flammenwerfer. And that's just kind of understandable. I think this little weird thing is right here. Is that because of the territory? Yes, it is. Okay. So the weird thing that happens with this territory in supply and out of supply is that it has to get over and through because the Germans have not taken this point back here just yet. The AA half-tracks coming on forward, or backward, should I say. This thing is a monster. It's honestly a monster. The lucky thing for the Germans right now is that it has to be reversed basically into any kind of good position. Because it's such an awkward creature. It really is. Grenadiers facing off against rear echelons in this house, and it's one of those things like a wet noodle contest, where both squads are just going to fire vaguely in that direction. Grenadiers, in the meantime, coming up behind these riflemen and realize it's probably still not the greatest place to be when you're outnumbered by about a third and a half. Now, what that magical number actually would be for a third and a half, I could not tell you for the life of me. Suffice to say, it would not be a great position for your troops. But 9 minutes in, despite the fact there's been a ton of pressure and there's a light vehicle or two for the Americans, Kpen is holding things steady. He's doing pretty well. And as I say that, he's going to drop his squad. Just watch. It's Caster's curse, my friend. No, okay, he doesn't lose that. Instead, we're going to see a lot of troops falling back and no medic bunkers still in sight. And now it looks like the Americans are both going to be taking their fuel positions. It was worth noting that the mortar team did get taken out by, I'm guessing, a rifle grenade. Not that that's going to be a whole lot of pleasant feelings for the Germans, as it's simply just recrewed, and the riflemen just back up super quickly. Pack 40 revealing itself, firing around to the rear of that AA half-track. And with those crew members now jumping out, it could be a great opportunity to just kind of scamper on forward with that pack, taking a great wet bite out of it. But no, with a flanking lieutenant, it's a bad idea to troop forward with that anti-tank crew. Something that becomes readily apparent as a model drops, and yikes, good lord, these guys are not going to be here for long now, are they? BAR is going to give them good firepower against these grenadiers behind them, but falling in retreat is likely going to happen. No, shockingly enough, no models fall back on retreat. Instead, it's just the Germans who take some losses here. Meanwhile, to the west, Kpen is just kind of sitting still. These rear echelons getting more than enough opportunity to really be locking down this Western VP. Oh, there we go. Finally some firepower. And just barely out of capturing range, these guys are falling back in disarray. 11 minutes in, 485 to 423. It's really that mortar that's keeping the Americans in this one for right now. Kpen's spreading the field decently well, though you couldn't tell by the way that the Americans control both fuel points. And now how is this MG42 runs right smack dab into these riflemen instead of pulling back. So this is a great opportunity to take this MG, recrew, and take it for himself. Caster's Curse, there we go again. Good times, everybody, good times. 222 coming in finally for Kpen's beleaguered infantry. And he's got to use it to immediately take on and take out this M15. Unfortunately for him, that's still not going to mean the end to his troubles. There's enough riflemen out here with one-star veterancy that there is a anti-tank rifle grenade opportunities aplenty. But Kpen does not seem stymied by this. He's still moving around, still dipping and ducking and diving. He's dodging wrenches, dodging mortar shells, doing all what he needs to do. But of course, CadzZ is not particularly just kind of sitting idly by either. He is bringing on in his captain, and I imagine we're going to see a Zook on him pretty quickly. He sees now the 222. And no Zook just yet. That's surprising to me. Interesting. Now the lieutenant, he's got the smoke grenade for his lieutenant here, but he doesn't have an anti-tank rifle grenade, and that's a lucky thing for the 222. Of course, now having 57mm on the field as well, CadzZ is taking a decisive edge, I would say, in both army size. He's already up 20 plus, as well as infantry. Never mind, this 222 is going to get rid of some of that, dropping the American advantage to a mere 15. And even less so as a couple of models get killed on the retreat. 474 to 423. Kpen seems to always play better when he's working with a smaller army. Think of like Bean from Ender's Game, I think it is. He's very, very good and incisive about how he approaches situations. Kpen, in the meantime, going with that mechanized doctrine, calling a Sturmgewehr, Sturmgeschütz rather, excuse me, and that's the E variant. So this thing used to be the Shug Easy. This thing was a god back in Co 1. Just was lofting rounds like crazy. Just a tiny bit of a howitzer here, but while it's good against the infantry and light vehicles, it's sacrificing an awful lot of late game damage potential. Okay, and we're seeing a big contest happening between these riflemen and these grenadiers, and it was super, super close to see who was going to make it away, and just barely both squads fall back in just shattered remnants. What the heck? Oh, okay, so there's the Sturmgeschütz is coming on over, and there it is, the Stug Easy coming on in, and these guys don't have any Zook on them, and this guy's a machine gun. So as good as these things can be against light vehicles, ain't gonna be enough, princess. Regardless, oh whoa, but double Zook. Okay, this is like the rear echelon squad from hell, I would say, for this Stug Easy. Dual Zooks will do a lot of really, really great damage to it super quickly. I'm surprised that he's facing the wrong direction. He's got to be taking out these rear echelons. First of all, if he can grab these Zooks for himself, that's a minor victory by... okay, never mind. There they go. But okay, in the east in the meantime, Lieutenant shifting on in, and with the 57mm supporting it, take out the 222. And with the 222 gone, it's probably a better idea for these Pioneers to bolt, and they're not going to make it out. He's not paying attention. Never mind. There go the Pioneers, and the second squad dies. It just dies, man. Jeez. So Kpen not doing his usual kind of razor sharp acumen here, and indeed his... I don't even want to know what his Pioneers are doing. It's like frag nicht, sprach nicht, if you know what I mean. 57mm might take some damage as it falls back, but that's not really too much to write home about. Americans have taken a slight lead in tickets, though, up about, what, 15, almost 20 tickets, and continuing to do so, while the captain, newly spiffed up, has got himself a lovely little Zook on him. Worth noting in the meantime that we're going to see more Zook echelon troops coming on forward. I'm not sure why Kpen is focusing so much on anti-vehicle. He's seen one vehicle, and it doesn't necessitate this overcommittal, I would say, to 2-pack 40s. And with his own infantry taking such crazy losses, I'd be investing in more Sturmgeschützen. Weird, I'm sorry, I'm doing like German and English at the same time. Ingman, if you will. MG42 in the meantime setting up over here, but not bringing these riflemen under fire, which will mean that the Germans are going to lose the control over a significant portion of their munitions income. But hey, at least they have the fuel off to the eastern side, right? And there we go. Finally, we're going to see some suppression happening here, and these guys are really honestly out of their firing arc. But with the help of the Sturmgeschütz and these Grenadiers, they're going to back away. That's kind of an oddly, beautifully cinematic shot without the body, you know, kind of flopping around. Another Sturgisi coming onto the pitch, and if one is good, two must be better, right? That's what I would say. A couple of rounds going on, and this captain really should back away super quickly. I'm wondering if Kpen is going to use this to really kind of leverage a stronger position, because as of right now, he's really kind of getting kicked around. 57mm coming on forward, trying to bring both these guys under fire. Will be able to do so, and he's actually calling in his own M10. M10's going to trounce these Stugs, and there goes one of them already. Destroyed engine. That's a giant shame. Another round's going to come in and take that out. There it goes. I did see a beautiful thing the other day, though. I did see a Panther get recrewed, I think, by Brits. That was a beautiful game. CadzZ, in the meantime, though, takes a delicious edge in firepower, as now these dual-pack 40s are actually appropriate. For the moment, it was just tons and tons of infantry, which necessitated, in my mind, a quicker shift to these Stugs. But now we have an M10, which means that these guys should be able to chow down. But nevertheless, despite the fact that a couple of vehicles have gone down for each side, although more for the Germans, which is just, you know, breaks my heart a little bit inside. We lost a gun crew. Oh, Mortar got taken out. He dived real quick from this Grenadier. And now this machine gun's going to get caught on the flank and get forced away. I was going to say, though, that despite the fact that both sides seem rather frisky today, there's no real clear-cut advantage at the moment. We are going to see it's going to be potentially a trip cap, except that this machine gun is going to get caught in the flank, so it should really be a trip cap. And the Americans are up quite a bit of tickets. As you look at the map, they're actually up rather a lot. So I take back what I said. Kpen's troops are in full retreat for the time being, and I'm wondering if he's just trying to wait out until he gets to this Tiga. Now, that could be good, but at the same time, his Tiga is going to be a very long time coming. Rifle grenade going out, but a little bit late. Could have been should try to call this shot like Baby Ruth out there, and thrown down perhaps a little bit to the west of the truck. CadzZ is too canny a player to be caught out by such simplistic tactics. I'm wondering if is he going to go for that, or is he going to go for? I don't know. What was I going to say? I was going to say, though, is he going to go for a third Stug? Now, against M10s, that's not a great idea. especially with M10s backed up by dual 57 millimeters. Against... okay, I'm back and forth in this one because Stokes are kind of hit or miss. They're either really, really good against the infantry, or they're just garbage against everything else. It's not fair. Light vehicles are still pretty good against that too. But I'm pretty sure CadzZ is not going to be making himself any stewards anytime soon. And now with his particular commander choice, there's no even real need for him to make his major. He can just spam M10s out for days. These are 105 Shermans as a little bit of heavy support. Now here's a question. Will we see a Faust coming out of these guys? Well, not yet, because the Germans don't have any means of real munition supply. And indeed, we're going to see this MG is going to just start to shred the Grenadiers as they back away. Oh no, never mind. An MG-42 bringing them under fire and saving his troops' lives, I would warrant. Sugar, in the meantime, comes on forward, tosses off a round, and will draw the attention of that 57mm in the return. But it does exactly what he needs to do, which does a ton of model damage to each of those riflemen, and encourages, let's just say, the remaining two to fall back. Now, these packs have finally done a little bit of work as well, getting some damage out, almost getting that first star of veterancy, and that will make them extremely deadly. It's a good decision right there if he is able to pick that up. Worthwhile noting, in the meantime, we're going to see some pineapples, so CadzZ is definitely going for the fruit. And once he gets the chance to do so, ain't no garrison going to be safe. Germans, in the meantime, what do they have to do to get really back in this? He's down almost 100 tickets now. He's got to go and ensure a line of munition supply. There's the grenade package right there. So I'm surprised we're not going to see something like an on me from like a charging captain to remove that suppression. But he gets what he needs to get. He goes and decaps the munitions point from the Germans, and as such, Kpen is going to be stuck in his current supply situation for a little bit longer just yet. Pack 40, though, brings that M10 under fire, and this MG has just been the perfect little sucker bet for the in favor of the Germans. Mortar gets decrewed yet again, gets one last round off, and then bolts for the hills. And this MG does exactly what it needs to do. It pins the ever-living bejesus out of these riflemen, which allows, in turn, Pioneers and Grenadiers... Oh no, two squads of Pioneers to charge on forwards with those MP40s. This could be the perfect time for the Pios to jump in and try to take out absolutely everything. We are going to see a 240 howitzer barrage, and I don't know if he tried to call it onto the trees or what, but that was a wild, wild round. Grenadiers charging on in, and are the captains going to try to retake this mortar? I don't know. I do know this 57mm is going to get taken out, though. It's decrewed. No decrew? There we go. Finally get decrewed. Fruit coming out and doing some real damage over to these retreating Germans. Really kind of masticating that one squad, and hopefully he doesn't go down. We are going to see one last burst of fire or two. There goes an LMG. That's a fully vetted up squad for the Germans. That cannot happen anymore. And might be a second squad going down? I don't know. Yep, there's a second squad going down. So Kpen losing a lot in the last couple of seconds here. He is locking down the eastern side of the map, which is great for him, but he's still down 105 tickets. It's going to get worse. He's still a ways off from that Tiga. Now, once the Tiga comes out, that will be a very, very different story. But the Tiga's still got to get there, son. Alrighty, where are we in the meantime? Well, Americans continue to lock down, probably call it about 65-70% of the map. And that is going to be more than enough to guarantee their current situation. You want to take a look at CadzZ, he's just rolling in fuel. Not sure why he's not just going to go and start spamming out M10s that will deal with the Stug, and really maybe calling in one of these 105 Shermans might be a good idea. Stug, in the meantime, though, starts to attack the bridge. And close in combat, these guys are auto-attacking the wrong squad. Kpen realizes he cannot lose any more squads, though. And starts backing away rather early, 50% health or more on a lot of these guys. And that's why it is. Still has no medic bunker. Kpen, boo-boo, what are you doing to me? Rifle in the meantime charging on forwards, more pineapple. And a nice predictive grenade still doesn't do the kind of damage he probably should have done. So luckily enough for that Grenadier squad. I don't know if that was an attack ground or what, but that almost hit exactly what he needs to hit. Here comes the M10, though. He's going to throw rounds into the stroke, and as good as that stroke is, he is not going to be good against this bad boy. Okay, luckily for the Germans, this point right here is not being taken because of that wonderful MG42. Now, with these Pioneers out in the open, they're going to get kind of hammered pretty badly here. But a follow-up squad of Grenadiers and that machine Gewehr is going to do some good damage. 284 to 416 in the meantime. Grenadiers moving back to the center part of the map. Might be able to decamp this position. No, never mind. There comes another squad of riflemen. These guys are all crack veterans now. I don't mean, you know, cocaine veterans, but, you know, crack veterans. They're doing some really, really good work. Machine Gewehr's got to work on his cardio, running away as we speak. I think Kpen has done it. I think he's holding on long enough just to bring in that Tiga. He's got to wait about, what, 20 seconds? And it's more than enough time, I would say. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Good nevertheless. M10 doing something rather poorly, though, and that's always engaging infantry. That's not going to do a whole lot of work for him. And while the Americans are taking the eastern side of the map back, and indeed taking back part of the central part, in the west, the Germans are decapping this VP and should be able to get in behind and destroy the 57mm at minimum. Here comes another M10, which is great for the Americans and double plus ungood for the Germans. And I'm guessing, are we going to see... Okay, they're getting reinforced, and I'm very, very curious to know the understanding about why Kpen did not push a bunker on this map. Rifle grenade coming out and going to impact onto the AT gun, but not exactly what needs to have happen. Instead, here comes that Tiga, and call the Tiga. Nope, not quite. Okay, soon enough. There we go. There's that metal goodness that we all know and love. We go to the eastern side. Yikes. What impact round was from that? Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Strokes. Pack's covering for the Stroke as it backs away. But with the arrival of this Tiga, I would say that Kpen is back on his feet. Indeed, he's finally taken a army-sized lead, mostly because of that massive, massive manpower cost. But as good as it is, he cannot afford to be lackadaisical with it. This guy is extremely expensive. It's probably likely he probably only gets one of these. And CadzZ can really just throw M10 after M10 at it, should he desire to. And he really should desire to. 300 manpower, 90 fuel, that's super, super cheap. So with 2 anti-tank guns, and let's call it at least 3 M10s, that Tiga is not going to make it long on this battle space. Now, where are we in terms of the current battle state overall? Well, 237 to 416 is 28 minutes, almost 29 minutes into this game. And Kpen has not had the kind of infantry game he usually does. He's had a couple of really bad drops early on. But it does look like he's been able to recapture his earlier lost machine gun. And that's a big, big win right there. It's given the amount of just automatic weapons fire being lofted in the direction of each of these riflemen. And in this case, the captain. Can we see a dead officer? Yes, there goes some of the brass. And a predictive grenade taking out a couple models in retreat for this Grenadier squad. So for every hand the gods giveth to the Germans, they taketh away on the other side of things. Pack 40s, though, in good position. At least one is. Where's the second one? Okay, he's got to shift on forward a little bit more. But he might be able to attack ground and take out one of those M10s. If they charged on forwards. No, is he going to crank off one more round? I guess not. Nope, I guess not. Despite having no sight. Oh, that's a shame right there, that is. I admit it. I was super excited to see the Germans get back into this with that Tiga. Now Lieutenant might even go down. Another round? No. He says, no thank you. It's closing time. I am out of here. And what happened, a great position for CadzZ is now plummeted. 9 kills on this Tiga. One of his officers down. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think he's also lost some of his vetted up riflemen. Oh, it doesn't wait just that other second just to decap that position. 105 Sherman coming on, and not sure that's the greatest decision. As good as it might be, I think, well, it's going to be awesome against infantry. Against tanks, though, not so glorious. And a rifle squad did just drop, so having a good position to start with, but has now decayed rapidly. And as this M10 comes in to take opportunistic shots, he realizes that thing is a heck of a lot more dangerous than this little Stug over here. 193 to 416 though. Sherman coming forwards. He's going to take a little more firepower, and this guy is going to get wrecked if he hangs around. I would hope that he realizes it's worth getting back home to Muti and Vati. That's mother and father for all you Deutschsprechers out there. But it doesn't look like he's going to notice that just yet. And indeed, here comes the first round. That tells you everything about this Sherman. Poor guy evaporates. One more round's going to come off just before he gets away. And there we go. He escapes just for right now, though. 105 Sherman does have a bit of a weakness, and that's heavy caliber fire. Unlucky for Kpen, he's got that in spades now with this bad boy. Yeah, rear armor hit. He really could chase this guy down. Question is whether or not he wants to push the issue with the 57mm right there. I think he could have. I think that backing away is probably the safer play, especially the M10 kind of waltzing around. But I think he could have had his own backup over here in time. Lieutenant might go down. We'll see. One more round might do it. No, making it out alive. And this Pack 40 now has a great opportunity to pick on this M10 if the M10 is not careful. I don't know. There's a lot of red cover over here, which means that there's going to be some losses scattered hither and yon for anybody brave enough to troop on through. M10 is one hit away. Pineapple coming out, though. Decrews the pack, and the survivor bolts. Are we going to see perhaps just like a last Faust running on in? Because that would be super, super brave and very, very epic to me. Charge him! No, he's not going to do it. Oh, man, he's not going to do it. That would have been great. Okay, the other pack coming back through, though. These Pioneers recrewing. Out of control. Never mind, there he goes, folks. And his engine got really, really good when he starts going to his death throws. Maybe he should go into his death throws more often. CadzZ, in the meantime, though, really, again, CadzZ, you've got fuel for days. Just start calling in crazy amounts of M10. Just send them in. Charge the Light Brigade style. Attack, attack, attack. I don't agree with the 105 Sherman on this one. Now dropping to about 2/3 of what Mango's got in terms of army supply. This Tiga is the undisputed king of the battlefield. 10 kills to his name already. And what does this guy have? One. Is it even a vehicle? No, it's an infantry. How about you? 4 kills for you? Eh. Decent enough, I suppose. And after about 25, 30 minutes of getting his keister handed to him, Kpen's got things back under control, I would say. Especially as he's rifling charge on in, that's not going to be a great decision for them. Kpen can survive, taking some losses here in terms of tickets now. And with the Stug coming in to support fire onto the infantry, which will happen right quick, and these packs back in the area, one of which is set, okay, there we go, onto hold fire for vehicles. Good decision there now. He might lose a couple tickets, but I would say he's in a vastly superior position. Not the least of which because he's got a much, much bigger army. 105 Sherman, though, creeping on in opportunistically. Might get a shot or two off, and that might do some good work against these Grenadiers. And do you see them already kind of evaporating? Bolt! Run away, my friends! He's gone. So squad drop in favor of the Americans. 35 minutes in, the 180348, we could see rifle grenade coming in to kind of push back these riflemen. Well, the riflemen are trying to get their own pineapples onto the Germans, and had their... Okay, there we go. They're going to back away, but just not enough in time. Lieutenant coming around, though, and what... I'm really kind of surprised by a little bit of the more passive play. The momentary passive play at the absolute minimum out of Kpen. He's got the army supply lead. He's got the crazy, I would say, army comp lead. In my mind, he should have this. But every single time I think he does that, he starts dropping squads, and that's just... It kills me on the inside. Wondering, would Kpen be served by another Sturmgeschütz? That might be an interesting idea. He's got more than enough manpower for it. He's got a very, very diverse, let's say, infantry grouping. Actually, I wonder, it might be a good idea he would go and pick up a P-Ground squad. Not in the least because it'd be excellent against these riflemen. Oh, he goes another Stug instead. But also because giving that double Shrek would give him a lot of unparalleled anti-tank for his infantry. And the newly recruited mortar is going to cause issues for the Germans if they're not careful. So with now a third Sturmgeschütz for the entire battle, obviously his the first one died rather rapidly. I would hope that Kpen can effectively push here. He's going to run afoul of his 57mm and this M10. He's got to back it up right now. Which means that this Tiga should be coming on it. Never mind, there he goes. 57mm and this bad boy, and this apparently grabbing hits like crazy. Infantry death. That was it. He finally killed? Okay, so he finally got a vehicle to his name. But Kpen just might bring in another one immediately. That'd be kind of funny for me. He could definitely afford to do so. And at a mere 8 pop cap, that might be a good decision. Might, mind you. I continue to like my idea at putting in a P-Ground squad and upgrading them with double Shreks. I think we might get a Faust out of this Grenadier squad. As of now, not yet. And that's a mistake. But 57mm gets taken out, and looks like we might see a lot of dead riflemen. No, he's still okay. Alright. But this rifleman squad trying to engage his machine gun, already suppressed, and realizing it's probably better for them to back away if a tank starts firing on you. And I think Kpen is finally getting himself the victory. He's got guys locked down. He's got a rather mobile, light anti-tank presence as well as a good anti-infantry presence. And a major being called in. That's an interesting decision. However, that machine gun getting wiped out, so that's a lot of veterans getting taken out again. And there's not been as much unit preservation as I had hoped for on this field. Yeah, that's 57mm that got taken out before. But now the M10 is going to run right into, almost literally right into, that Tiga. So one more round could be enough to take him out. Main gun destroyed. Oh my gosh, he makes his way somehow, some way. Somebody pull the plug. Get rid of him. In the meantime, the Sturmgeschütz is running afoul of a 57mm on the American side. Say God round? Not quite. Out of control. There he goes. That's bad right there. And Grenadiers might be able to decrew. If they do, that's a good bit of work done. Okay. Now, is the Tiga coming forward to take out the 57mm? Because that would be like the cat's pajamas at this point. No, instead he's just kind of laying and using interdictory fire to blow out the walls on either side of this bridge, which is a bit of a waste. At this point, even if my opponent can throw anti-tank rifle grenades at me, I am charging on in, do some good damage here and there. Meantime, mortar crew taking some rifle grenades, and this Tiga is just not being utilized to its full capability here. At least we will see a machine gun Wehr encouraging the Americans to back away. Grenadiers, in the meantime, do decrew that AT gun yet again, and at this point, yes, there we go, finally seeing it. Realizing that he can move up in close support for his infantry and take things out like crazy. There goes... Was that the mortar they took out? No, it couldn't be. But he could be doing those, coming over here to take out this anti-tank gun there, as well as there. So we will see another squad drop very, very quickly for CadzZ. M10 over on the western side, though. Pac 40's defending this western approach, and with a mine over here to the western side, this Sherman does not want to be here. Now does the M10 for that matter, though. So the question is, who doesn't want to be here more, and how badly do they want to get away? It does look like the Tiga is more than content to play with his food. You back at base? Okay, you're back at base. Build a medic bunker, my friend. It's actually starting to hurt me a little bit on the inside. It's actually physically hurting me. I'm having heart palpitations. So the 105 Sherman and the M10 back away as the riflemen continue to somehow keep this beast at bay. And I don't know how that's working, but it is. Taking up the battle phase 2 at long last. So maybe an Ostwind is in the cards for Kpen. That would be a good decision in my mind. Maybe not against the M10, but against his infantry. It's been more than enough anti-infantry to allow the slow-moving Tiga a chance to walk around. You can see there, rear armor hit from the rifle grenades, and like practically nothing happened.
We lost an infantry unit. They got wiped out.
Is that another rifleman squad? I believe it is. Grenadiers moving back to the center part of the map, and it's constantly at this point just devolving into one of those games where both players fixate on the center part of the map, mostly because I would argue, like Artie Barrage, this would be kind of fun. Oh, these mortars are going to get wrecked. Let's get a longer view of this one. It says scatter forces, but is it going to take him out? It could definitely take it out. On retreat, riflemen make it out alive. Jackson's being called in to support the M10, and that's a weird decision. Again, Jacksons are good, but I kind of feel like the M10 would be more than enough to do it, especially with this bad boy right there. I mean, I would say that's what I would do. Yeah, it's a vet one. I'm not liking what CadzZ is doing in this later game here. Then again, I of course, didn't like what Kpen was doing a few minutes ago either, so I got some beef with both players. We're going to see, yep, there's a support armor corps coming on in. And maybe a P4 is the way to go. That actually be a good decision right now. Bring this guy in to, not so much suppress, but get in and around the M10 would be more than enough, I think, to remove all of his issues. Tiga, in the meantime, is throwing rounds into the smoke, hoping to hit something. And missing wildly. 168 to 325. The Germans are almost exactly half of what the Americans have. Let's take Jackson. Why is he bringing the Jackson in? Again, okay, like, he still has to get up to vet 1 to get a great ability. He's not going to get that simply. Yeah, it's not really a whole that different. Very bizarre to me. P4 finally coming in. I guess maybe the P4 is going to be used to not so much flank around, but to be shifting in and out to harry, perhaps, the infantry from the flank, the American infantry, that is, and maybe, just maybe, use them to be aggressive on this Allied armor. Tiga comes in just quick enough to throw off a couple of rounds, and look, the M10, the M36, it could have been taken out. Oh my gosh, there goes one right there. This could be a dead Tiga. Of course, it could be alive, everything else though too, so one more round might be enough to determine the course of this game. No, instead he shifts fire over onto his P4. He's going to get one more round off, I think. There goes the Tiga. There goes the M10. And coming out the back end of that, the Germans are ahead. Especially if you can go and just start pressuring this Sherman like crazy, and you really should. Okay, AT gun taking some barrages, but there goes the Sherman. He's going to get taken out. Destroyed engine. Will he administer the final coup de grace? Yes, he will, to get rid of that. And with the loss of that, okay, so the mortar's out in the open, so BAR in the open. There's only one 57mm left. He's going to get pulled back in the face of all this German infantry. Kpen might have completely turned this around. Not the least because CadzZ has not been deploying his go-to unit for this commander. Well, there's a mortar. He's got a BAR now, I think. At least it's the LMG. No, maybe. Maybe yes, no. No, maybe. I'm not 100%, but we will see the mortar slowly getting brought back. And here come the Americans running right into this with this glorious little light arty barrage. Surprised these guys aren't pinned already. And they're rushing right back through the artillery fire. Again, this thing is so hit or miss. I don't mean that, to be humorous. It's either amazing or it's garbage. Usually what it does is just kind of encourage your opponent to retreat. And I guess for what it can do, that makes it kind of a weird amount of sense. And I'm still not sure why Kpen has not built a freaking medic bunker. I mean, he's got these wrecks over here. He could probably salvage these out, though. Might be a good idea there. I mean, but he's not doing it. He's not doing it. And instead, what do we have? We have a very, very tiny core of experienced American troops. A major who realizes that life in the front lines is not all it's cracked up to be. And an ever-deepening roster of German units. With the mortar picked up in favor of the Germans, the Americans now can't easily shift this machine gun away from the center part of the map, and I think he's got just enough machine guns, one to cover each major area. Okay, that's the western approach covered, that's the eastern approach covered, and the central position has already been locked down. And there's the, more mortar rounds, so the Americans might take a position here or there. But they're going to take a heck of a lot of losses to do so. Now, what CadzZ should be doing is, there we go, getting a grenade off, and that's a good call right there. Might be able to take out this guy, I don't know. But another rifleman squad drops in the meantime. Yeah, this machine gun's going to get taken out. There it goes. P4, finally at long last, taking out the abandoned 57mm. Another M10 coming onto the field. That would be great, except that Kpen is super close to his second Tiga, and lords and ladies, he is going to be doing that. P4's going to take 2 more rounds, probably get taken out. And I think CadzZ is going to try to breathe a sigh of relief. But he really shouldn't. Really, really bad there. 163 to 255, now deeply below that half tickets per. The Americans are really kind of starting to fold all over in their position. Yes, they're getting some good kills here and there, getting like that awkward tank crush. But there's a king of the battle on the battlefield now. There's you can't even compete with that. Captured MG42 is probably one of the last things CadzZ is really hanging on to. He had one beforehand, but then he decided he wanted to give it back and he didn't want to play with it anymore. And as such, we will see some rather bad things happening to him. Faust comes on in, damages the engine, gives the Tiga more than enough chance to go after it, but he's not going to. He's afraid of this 57mm. Which is funny, considering how garbage the thing was back during the war. And Kpen's got an opportunity, really, to take out this tank destroyer. Does not, though. Instead, he's going to fall back, take a grenade for his trouble, and lose his squad. Smoke grenades have been going out like crazy, though, so you have to give a little bit of props to CadzZ, because a lot of people don't tend to bring them in. And that's a giant mistake. I'm very, very pleased to see that he's done so for himself. 163 to 219, the Germans have a trip cap on the field, and the Americans cannot push back against this. Though it's not for lack of trying. We continue to see aborted American pushes here and there, but just not enough to take that last little bit of distance. Now to the west, we are going to see a machine gun doing its work, plying its deadly trade. Another grenade coming back out, though, so I think it might be time for Kpen to start picking some more mobile interdictory forces. Indeed, has allowed the Americans to take back to these positions, And if you're thinking about grabbing that now decrewed MG42 and decides against it the last second, probably a good call there. Probably a good call. We are approaching 50 minutes into this game.
Your crew just got wiped out.
And now with the MG now re-seized or retaken, I would probably guess, by the Germans, M10's going to come around and put some pressure onto this retreating Tiga. And he does exactly what he needs to do. He comes in, throws off 2 rounds, puts the fear of God in anything that's American, and retreats. Kind of a terrifying thing when you think about it. American sees in the Western fuel, trying very, very hard to continue to press both sides of the map, and we'll be able to do so more or less, taking a second VP again, which is just surprising in all measure. And for some reason not calling back in more M10s. No, he's making another Jackson instead. Okay, the Jackson does not give you that much more than an M10 does. The numbers are fairly similar. It's not going to give you a crazy bit more health or anything, really. It just kind of exists, that's all. Grenadiers take some firepower, take a grenade to the face, but they don't seem to be too concerned about it. Indeed, while these riflemen get back up, I suspect they'll be suppressed pretty darn soon again. No, Grenadiers get forced back. That's a surprise right there. 155 to 194. Kpen, he's just reinforcing a bunch of squads, I believe. And with another Jackson coming onto the pitch and a 57mm, there's enough to take out the Tiga, but it's not going to be easy. And I'd be very disappointed to see a quick kill against the Germans. Now, again, I continue to say that I'd like to see also another vehicle to support the German push. But it's not happening currently, and it's kind of bothering me a little bit. Instead, we see these MGs kind of troop on forward, get gunned down. Troop on forward, get gunned down. And it's almost too much for my heart to bear. 135 to 194. I think we're going to see a last major push here. This might be the Germans pushing in to really lock down and remove the last obstructions in their way. Wolverine charges on in. Jackson's to the wrong side of the field. Rifleman squad gets blown away. Dear God, that was quick. A mere 5 kills in this bad boy. But by God, those are good hits. And the Germans, after getting pelted quite a bit by enemy infantry early on, stall out, pick up their Tiga, and are doing some good work in the latter parts of this game.
Send your orders.
With the Jackson, yep, the Jackson coming on in, like that greater, higher caliber gun offset by the weight and the back of the turret. Kind of a weird construction, all things considered, but definitely understandable. And a 2-to-1 cap, though, back in favor of the Germans, and we're going to see these, perhaps this, there we go, 57mm gets decrewed, and that's a big win right there. It's a lot of veterancy getting lost. And Faust number 1, almost looked like he got run over and set it off just at the last second. So, you know, hero Grenadier giving his life for the fatherland and still coming out ahead. Lieutenant dying. Where did he die? Western side of the field, I'm guessing? Maybe? Just hoping, maybe? I don't know. Wishful thinking. And that Jackson needs a quick repair, so he's going to get himself set up and ready to go. And the Germans, I don't think, really should be broken. There's not a lot of veterancy on the German side of things. Indeed, only one real squad of true, very, very vetted up Grenadiers, and these guys are not originals, let me tell you. And then meanwhile, these guys are American originals. 52 kills. These guys have been on the field for forever. Jackson coming in and doing what he tries to do. Meantime, Major might get taken out. If there he goes, that's another infantry squad lost, and that's just one after another you just cannot afford. Jackson, in the meantime, coming to fire from the Pack 40s, and a gun line from the Packs take it out in a welter of steel and fire? I don't know. A welter is definitely the word of the day, I can tell you that much. Pack's facing the wrong direction, but it doesn't matter. The Tiga's got things under control, I would say. They can take out this Sherman anyway. P4's coming on in as well. And the Americans have one squad of infantry. They have these 2 tanks. Take out one of the Germans, but now he's got an ambo, an M10, a second M10, And now a charging P4 that is probably going to take out this bad boy. Here he goes. And if I'm CadzZ, this is GG. Like, I'm not going to be able to come back from this one. There's that one last rifleman squad. So it frittered away his entire early game advantage. He had the entire map owned, and still Kpen comes back. So today is not a day that Kpen sucks mango. No, today, my friends, is a day that Kpen comes out with a victory. But it's not it's still not a brilliant position. Not a brilliant win, but at least he pulls it out. So in a 54 minute 57 second marathon of a match, Kpen pulls it out by way of surrender, winning 126 to 170 with a USF defeat. That's going to do it for me, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all soon. This is Con Ulrich signing off. Take it easy, everybody.